On March 14, 2024, just after lunch on a Tuesday, a woman drove into my shop with her hazard lights blinking and panic in her eyes. She said her dashboard looked like a Christmas tree, 7 warning lights. The car felt sluggish. The dealership had already quoted her $1,800 for a new throttle body, a sensor replacement, and a full system diagnostic. She was minutes away from authorizing the repair. I did not touch a wrench. I did not pull a single sensor. I did not even open the hood. I pressed 2 buttons, held them for 8 seconds, and every single warning light disappeared. The engine ran smoother than it had in months. That moment right there is why this video exists. Because your car has a reset function built into it that almost nobody knows about, and it can solve problems in seconds that mechanics charge hundreds to fix. Today, I am revealing the exact button combination that resets your car's computer, why it works when nothing else does, and why most repair shops will never tell you about it. I have been working on cars for over 20 years, and I can tell you without hesitation that this simple reset has saved my customers more money than any other single piece of advice I have ever given. Once you understand how modern cars think, you will never panic over a warning light again. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: most problems drivers experience today are not broken parts. They are confused computers. Your car is no longer just metal and fuel. It is a rolling network of processors that constantly learn, adapt, and make decisions based on data. When that data becomes corrupted, symptoms can look catastrophic even when nothing is actually broken. Modern vehicles contain dozens of electronic control modules. The engine has a brain. The transmission has a brain. The brakes, the windows, and the climate control all talk to each other constantly. They store memory. They adapt to how you drive. They compensate for sensor readings. They adjust fuel delivery, shift timing, throttle response, and idle speed based on patterns they think are correct. But here is the problem. Once bad data gets stored, the system does not question it. It trusts it. If a sensor sends a wrong reading once, the module adapts. If voltage drops during a weak battery start, the module adapts. If you disconnect the battery to jumpstart another car, the module loses its reference points, and suddenly your car feels wrong even though nothing is physically broken. This is why drivers hear phrases like intermittent fault or no problem found. It is why a car can feel terrible one day and perfectly fine the next. It is why warning lights can come and go without explanation. And it is why so many people are paying for parts they never needed. The reset I am about to show you is not a trick. It is not a hack. It is a legitimate reinitialization procedure that forces your car's computer to dump corrupted data and start fresh. Mechanics know about it. Dealerships know about it. But it does not generate revenue, so it rarely gets mentioned. A 5-minute reset does not look impressive on an invoice. It does not justify diagnostic fees. It does not sell parts, so it gets skipped. But it works constantly. I have seen transmissions shift harshly after a battery replacement, fixed instantly with this reset. I have seen engines idle rough after routine maintenance, solved with this reset. I have seen fuel economy drop by 30% with no mechanical cause, restored with this reset. I have seen air conditioning blow inconsistently, check engine lights appear for phantom reasons, and throttle response become delayed. All of it disappeared with the exact same button combination. And the best part is, you do not need tools. You do not need a scanner. You do not need technical knowledge. You just need to know which buttons to press and how long to hold them. By the time most drivers reach this point, they already feel 2 emotions at once: relief because they realize their car might not be broken, and anger because they realize how close they came to spending money they never needed to spend. That is exactly where this gets interesting, because once you understand what is actually happening inside your car's computer when you perform this reset, you stop being afraid, you stop reacting emotionally, you start diagnosing logically, and that shift in mindset is worth more than any single repair. Here is what most people never realize. Your car does not react to the world directly, it reacts to data. When that data goes bad, everything that depends on it starts making the wrong decisions perfectly, confidently, and expensively. Inside every modern vehicle are control modules quietly talking to each other every second. The engine control unit decides how much fuel to inject. The transmission control module decides when and how hard to shift. The body control module manages lights, locks, windows, and security. The ABS module controls braking. The climate control module adjusts temperature. None of them feel anything. They trust numbers, sensor values, learned behavior, and stored memory. When those numbers drift or become corrupted, the system does not panic. It adapts. And that adaptation is where the trouble begins. Imagine a car that once had a dirty mass airflow sensor. For weeks, maybe months, the sensor reported less air than was actually entering the engine. The ECU responded by adding more fuel to protect the engine from running lean. That adaptation was saved. Later, the sensor is cleaned or replaced, and the airflow is now correct. But the ECU is still compensating for a problem that no longer exists. So the engine runs rich, fuel economy drops, idle feels off, acceleration becomes sluggish. The driver replaces spark plugs, changes the oil, switches gas brands. Nothing fixes it because the problem is not hardware anymore. It is memory. This is why so many cars get worse after maintenance. A new battery is installed, and the voltage characteristics change slightly. The modules do not reset properly. Suddenly the transmission shifts harshly, the idle hunts, warning lights flicker, shops diagnose the symptoms instead of the cause. A sensor tests borderline so it is replaced. The car improves a little, then degrades again. The cycle continues. Each step costs money. None of it addresses the corrupted logic at the core. One of the most common triggers is unstable voltage. A weak battery does not just cause slow starts, it causes modules to brown out, brief moments when voltage falls below operating thresholds. During those moments, data gets written incorrectly. Adaptations freeze mid-calibration. Reference values get skewed. The car does not forget. It keeps using that broken information until something forces it to stop. Most shops never perform that reset unless specifically instructed to. Then there is the issue of driving pattern memory. Modern cars learn how you drive. If you accelerate gently for months, the transmission adapts with softer shifts. If you tow once or drive aggressively during a trip, the shift logic changes. The engine control unit stores fuel trim behavior based on short-term conditions and slowly locks those values into long-term memory. Over time, small deviations stack up. The system becomes over-adapted. Everything technically works, but nothing feels right. Drivers often say it did not happen all at once. Fuel economy slowly fades. Shifts become inconsistent. Throttle response dulls. No single event triggers it. The car simply drifts away from its optimal state. Because there is no dramatic failure and no warning lights screaming for attention, the problem goes unnoticed until it becomes expensive. This is where the reset becomes powerful. Not a trick, but a legitimate diagnostic tool. A reset does not erase a problem. It removes assumptions. It forces the car to stop trusting outdated data and start observing reality again. When done correctly, it reveals whether a symptom is being caused by bad logic or by bad hardware. And here is the part that will change how you think about your car forever. The reset I will show you works on almost every vehicle made in the last 15 years. Different manufacturers use slightly different procedures, but the principle is the same. You are forcing the body control module and the powertrain control module to dump their adaptive memory and relearn from scratch. The most common method, the one that works on the most cars, involves the gas pedal and the ignition. This is not a myth. This is not internet folklore. This is a documented reinitialization procedure that engineers built into the system for exactly this purpose. Here is how you do it. Make sure the car is off. Do not start the engine. Turn the ignition to the on position without starting the car. This is usually 2 clicks of the key or pressing the start button without touching the brake pedal. You want the dashboard lights to come on, but the engine should stay off. Now press the gas pedal all the way to the floor. Hold it down. Do not pump it. Press it firmly to the floor and keep it there. While holding the gas pedal down, wait 8 seconds. Count slowly. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8. After 8 seconds, release the gas pedal. Turn the ignition off completely. Wait 10 seconds. Then start the car normally. What just happened inside your car is remarkable. By holding the gas pedal to the floor with the ignition on but the engine off, you sent a specific signal to the throttle body and the engine control unit, or ECU. That signal told the system to enter relearn mode. The ECU dumped its throttle position, adaptive values. It cleared idle air control memory. It reset fuel trim adaptations. It reinitialized the transmission shift logic. And it forced the body control module to stop trusting old assumptions. When you start the car after this reset, the computer is no longer compensating for problems that may not exist anymore. It is observing the engine in real time, measuring actual airflow, actual throttle position, actual fuel delivery. It is relearning correctly. The first thing most people notice is the idle. It smooths out almost immediately. The second thing they notice is throttle response. The engine feels more willing, more immediate, like lag just disappeared. The third thing, and this takes a few miles to confirm, is fuel economy. Once the ECU stops overcompensating, gas mileage often jumps back to where it used to be. I have seen drivers report improvements of 3 to 5 miles per gallon after this reset alone. No parts replaced, no expensive services, just a reinitialization that the car should have done automatically but did not. Now, some of you are probably wondering, does this work on every car? The answer is almost. The gas pedal reset works on most Toyotas, Hondas, Nissans, Fords, Chevrolets, and many European models built after 2005. Some manufacturers use slight variations. For example, certain Chrysler and Dodge vehicles require you to cycle the ignition 3 times in 5 seconds instead of holding the gas pedal. Some German cars require a battery disconnect reset instead of a pedal reset. But the principle is always the same. You are forcing the system to dump corrupted adaptive memory and start fresh. If you want to verify the specific procedure for your exact make and model, search for throttle body relearn procedure followed by your year, make, and model. You will find manufacturer-specific instructions. And if the gas pedal method does not work on your car, the battery disconnect method almost always does. Disconnect the negative battery terminal. Wait 15 minutes to let residual voltage drain completely. Reconnect the battery. Start the car and let it idle for 5 minutes without touching anything. Then drive gently for 10 to 15 miles to allow the system to relearn. That is it. Simple, free, and incredibly effective. But here is where I need to be honest with you. Resets do not fix everything. There are times when a real mechanical failure exists, and I will show you how to recognize those moments too. Knowing when a reset works is just as important as knowing when it will not. If you reset and the problem disappears, you just saved hundreds or thousands. If you reset and the problem comes back within a few miles, you now know it is real. Not a ghost, not corrupted memory, but a genuine fault that deserves attention. That alone puts you ahead of most drivers. Instead of guessing, you are testing. Instead of reacting, you are confirming. What makes this uncomfortable for the industry is that resets do not scale financially. There is no part to sell, no labor hours to bill, and no warranty claim to submit. A 5-minute fix that solves the problem does not fit a system built around replacements and rebuilds. That does not mean mechanics are evil. It means the incentives are skewed. The person who benefits most from resets is you. Once you start thinking this way, everything changes. A warning light becomes information, not fear. A rough idle becomes a clue, not a sentence. A strange shift becomes a signal, not a catastrophe. You stop assuming the worst and start verifying the truth. This is why I keep saying that knowing when to reset is just as important as knowing how. Reset after battery replacement. Reset after throttle cleaning. Reset after sensor replacement. Reset when symptoms appear without codes. Reset when the car feels off but nothing obvious is broken. But do not reset blindly every week hoping to fix neglect. Resets are not maintenance substitutes. They are correction tools. And if there is one final idea I want to leave you with, it is this. Modern cars reward informed owners. The more you understand how data, sensors, and modules interact, the less control fear has over your decisions. You stop being easy prey for scare quotes and worst-case scenarios. You start asking better questions. You start saving real money. I have watched people drive away smiling because their car suddenly felt right again. Not louder, not faster, just balanced. Smooth idle, clean shifts, normal fuel economy. That feeling is not magic. It is what happens when the car is finally operating on accurate information again. So before you authorize a repair, before you assume the worst, before you hand over your credit card, reset, observe, confirm, then decide. That woman who drove into my shop with 7 warning lights, she walked out 15 minutes later without spending $1. Her car ran perfectly. The dealership called her the next day asking when she wanted to schedule the repair. She told them she did not need it anymore. They were confused. She was not. If this changed the way you think about car problems, hit like so more drivers see it. Subscribe if you want weekly breakdowns that give you control instead of confusion. If you have ever fixed a problem with a reset that a shop wanted to charge you for, drop it in the comments. Those stories matter because the most expensive car problem is not the one that breaks your vehicle. It is the one that breaks your confidence. Now you have the knowledge to take that confidence back.